Hey folks, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to start a new build, a wakizashi. That's a Japanese sword, kind of the little brother to the katana, but has all the complexity of a katana, just not quite the length. I'm going to do this traditional, meaning it's not going to be a modern take. It's going to have all the actual pieces of a wakizashi, mainly because I don't want to hear any crap from anyone saying, oh, you didn't do it the right way. So I'm going to do it the traditional way with all the traditional pieces. I've got all the actual stuff coming, raised skin, the pegs for the handle, all of that stuff is coming. It will all be part of this build. So stay tuned. We're going to do the first part of the build today. This will be a multi-part series because there's a lot of pieces and fixtures to these swords. But let's take a look at the first part of this build.
So folks, ready to start the new build. I've looked up wakizashi and just checked some params, and they go anywhere from 18 to 24 inch blades. So I'm going to be using a 15N20 core because I want the core to be silver. And then I've decided I'm actually just going to use mild cladding. And this is going to be a Sanmai construction. So my debate here is how long to make it. Obviously, I'm going to have these three, and then they're going to get compressed probably to about 2/3 of that. So I'm going to gain some length. I'm thinking I want to go with about 18 inches because if I get another 6 inches out of it for the tang, and I'll be able to actually form that, forge that down, but I don't really want to forge the blade much. I'm just going to compress it. But hopefully I get another 6 inches from the 18 to give me enough for the tang. So I think I'm going to go with 18 inches. All right, let's cut these up, grind the mild, and we'll kind of just get this clean, and then weld all the seams, and then we're going to get it in the forge.
After I picked up this Wen horizontal bandsaw, I find I use it a lot more. I use the angle grinder a lot less just because it's so messy and loud. Just like all Damascus projects, Sanmai is no different. Grind the steel clean, clean it with acetone, ready to go. I've learned now to spend the extra 10 minutes or whatever it takes to weld up all the seams on my Sanmais now. Before I used to just tack weld them together, now I seal them tight. It just makes sure I have a perfect forge weld and no air gets between the layers. What you see here is just a piece of mild steel that I use to heat up the dies before I start a forging session. Even with the new slightly bigger forge, I still had to heat this billet in about 3 sections, so it took a while to get this thing all forge welded and then drawn out. I thought I would spend a little time talking about my steel choice for this build. It wasn't just for looks. The reason I went with a 15N20 core and a mild steel jacket. I'm not going to differentially heat treat this, so I do want the outside to be not as hard so the blade is a little bit flexible. That's one of the reasons why I'm using mild steel on the outside. I also think it'll give kind of a nice fake hamon because it'll have that line from the from where the cladding starts and ends. Now I'm doing the final draw out of the steel to get my dimensions. Then I'm going to move into working on the tang. I want to make sure I have it at the right angle with the right proportions. I ended up going back and forth from the anvil to the press just to get this tang exactly where I wanted it. I thought I had it perfect here and I just wanted to flatten it out using the press. It turned out after I cooled it down and put the pattern on it, I still didn't have the tang right, so I had to go back and heat it up one more time. That's one reason I like to use knife print to print out my designs. I can reprint them and print them out as many times as I want, and I ended up doing that a couple of times here. I cut this one out, glued it on the blade, and used layout fluid and traced around it just so I could get exactly what I wanted in the profile.
So I used the angle grinder, took the profile down a little bit before I go to the actual grinder, the 2x72. And this is my first look at the forge weld, and it looks perfect. I can't even see a seam. So, you know, as usual, mild steel welds really well to other things because you usually don't want it on there. All right, I'm going to grind down the profile and make it look more like a sword.
Just a tip, even if you do glue your pattern to your blade, always etch around it with a marking pen, because as soon as you get it wet, you're going to lose your pattern and you won't know what to grind to. A wakizashi is one of those builds you need some forethought on. Normally I would just grind out the tang and it wouldn't really matter that much, but this one has a special spacer called a habaki, which you have to make sure fits the right way.
I've got the layout fluid put on this. I've got guidelines, center line. Time to get grinding.
I think the key here is starting slow, going steady, and forming that flat plane that you can rest your finger on and keep working it up the blade. The primary bevel I'm putting on this blade is about 2/3 up the blade. I was a little apprehensive about doing this one, but it actually turned out to be not too bad and didn't give me too many problems. Once you widen the bevel to about 1/2 inch, then it's wide enough that the flat part of it will just rest against the belt as you press your finger against it, and you can just drag the blade across the rest. I took the primary bevel to about within 3/16 of my line, just because I know I want to get up to that line and after my final heat treat. So I don't want to do it all now, because when I do the final grinding, it'll probably go up a little higher, and I don't want it to go up higher than my actual line.
Hey folks, so here it is after the initial grind. I'm pretty happy with it. It actually went pretty good. I was a bit confused about when I placed the habaki on the tang, which is here, it's got to take the shape of the blade. So I felt like I had to grind put the bevel down into the tang a little bit just so that the habaki will actually slide on and sit, you know, flush with the blade, because you do see an angle on those. So I did have to do that. So hopefully I'm supposed to do that. We'll see. But I'm pretty happy. You can just, I etched it, and you can just start, hopefully you can see, you can just start to see the core come out, which looks pretty cool. And something that I wasn't expecting, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but right here, again, this is mild steel, and I'm seeing banding on the mild steel here. Almost kind of looks like I'm using Tamahagane or something. I really hope that comes out in the final, because it looks really cool. I did not expect that at all, to see any kind of banding in the mild steel. But so far, I'm really happy. Next step, some normalization, some thermocycles, and then a heat treat.
I think we're going to end the video here. Thanks, folks, for joining me. I think it turned out pretty nice so far. I love the initial grind. It's got a nice weight to it. So I'm anxious to get this heat treated, finish off the blade, and get on to the other complicated parts. So stay tuned for the next one. Remember, guys, like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and we'll see you on the next one.